Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video we're going to talk getting started with Warhammer 40,000 with the Tyranids and take a look at the Hive Fleet Kraken subfaction of the army. In this video we're going to go through, take a look at the rules that are specific to Hive Fleet Kraken before exploring a couple of units we recommend to get started with your Kraken army. We'll then look at some other units we can expand upon to build upon those initial couple of purchases, and finally finish off the video with a little sample 750 point army list for you to use as some inspiration for creating your own Hive Fleet Kraken army for the Tyranids in Warhammer 40k. So, the Tyranids of Hive Fleet Kraken, they get the Hive Fleet adaptation called Questing Tendrils. Each time a unit with this adaptation fights, if it has made a charge move in the same turn, then until the fight is resolved, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. So this is just really cool. First of all, this doubles down on some of your combat units, giving them additional armor penetration, but something it also does as well is it allows you to play with a more mixed arm style Tyranid force as well, as this armor penetration will actually go on units like Termagants and such that aren't generally known for combat, but give them a little bit of AP, making them decent combat fighters. Now, the adaptive for this faction is each time a unit with this adaptation advances, if it is not affected by the opportunistic advanced stratagem, so that's a specific stratagem for your faction, or the bounding advanced stratagem, one specific to Hormagaunts, do not make an advance roll. Instead, until the end of that phase, you add d3 plus 3 inches to the move characteristic of the model. So this gives you from a 4 to 6 inch move rather than a 1 to 6 inch move on top with your normal runs. It's just a bit more consistent for you across the table, which is really nice to have. Consistency is good. And so, looking at where to get started, I actually really like the Broodlord for this. Now, this might not be, I guess, the best unit to start along with the troops choice we've chosen, but for the purposes of starting a collection, I think the Broodlord is a really good option. It's going to work really well in the army list we put together at the end. Now, the Broodlord has a decent profile, 7 wounds, 6 attacks, weapon skill 2+, strength and toughness 5. He's got a nice melee attack which he uses at his own strength of 5, but minus 3 AP damage 2, and each time you make an attack with this weapon, you can reroll all your wound rolls, and any unmodified wound roll of a 6 has an AP characteristic of minus 5 instead. He's got a 4-up invulnerable save. He's got the Vanguard Predator rule, where during deployment he deploys 9 inch away from enemy units and enemy territory. And Vicious Insight allows him to pick a friendly core unit within synaptic link range to him and give them the ability where on the unmodified 6 with their wound rolls on their melee attacks, they'll improve their armor penetration by 1. This just doubling down on the ability we're already getting if we're charged. So potentially, you know, we could get an additional 2 points of armor penetration with the units we've got in the force. Now, to go along with the Broodlord, I think the Gargoyles for me are one of the nice troop choices to pick that's going to play that sort of mixed arms role and give us multiple uses with them. Now, first of all, they're just fast. They've got fly as a keyword and they've got movement 12. Now, they do have their Flesh Borers, which are assault 1, strength 5, minus 1 AP, damage 1, but they also, on top of that, have their strength 3, toughness 3, and 1 attack in melee, which actually will get some additional AP on it when they choose to charge. So they can be rather nice in a fight as well if you can get all the bonuses off of them. Good for shooting up a unit and then potentially clearing it out with the bonuses you can get from both the sub-faction rules and indeed the Broodlord potentially buffing them as well. Looking at where to go next, and for the same reason I like the Gargoyles, Termagants definitely have a place to play. Now, Termagants can have a variety of different weapon options available to them. They can have Spine Fists, which are a pistol 2 12-inch weapon, or they've got the Flesh Borers, which are assault 1, strength 5, minus 1 AP, or get an assault 2 weapon for an additional point on top, which will lose the AP and lose the strength of the Flesh Borer, but definitely get you some extra shots in there. Definitely good if you're going with like more of the models in a unit. Now, you've got a couple of upgrades in the unit as well. You can take Adrenal Glands for +1 move and +1 strength characteristic of the bearer, which is really nice and goes really well with the fact we are playing in the particular sub-faction that's going to be wanting to charge and move across the table nice and fast. And Toxin Sacs will allow them to get unmodified hit rolls of a 6 to wound the target automatically. Now, they are just a solid unit. Cheap as well, which is really nice. 7 points base, or 8 if you're choosing to upgrade them in any particular way. Even with all 3 upgrades, they're still only 10 points. Now, alongside these, we've talked about the Broodlord. So obviously, we're going to talk about Gene Stealers. This is a combat unit that I really like and combines really well. Now, they have the Vanguard Deploy Predator rule where they can deploy 9 inch away from enemy units and the enemy territory. This is really good with your Broodlord. Now, what this means is you can have this unit of combat monsters up nice and close really early. And meanwhile, you've got the extra run and the extra movement and the fast units like your Gargoyles at the back of the table, which are going to be able to move up and combine and help with your assault. Now, Gene Stealers do have a 5-up invulnerable save and a 4-up invulnerable save when they get into melee, and they are pretty deadly in melee. You've got -3 AP at a strength of 4, damage 1, which is really, really cool. So they can just straight away just do a ton of damage, some really good shredding. And of course, when any 6s potentially can get that to AP -4, or if they've indeed charged, AP -5, which can just be amazing. Extended Carapace can lower their movement by a point, what will give them an extra point of save to give them a 4-up save at all times. And they can have the flesh hooks as well, or they can have toxin sacks like we've talked about. Now, we are going to want to talk about some other units we can bring into the force to bring some more synapse. To definitely, especially if our Broodlord is Vanguard deploying up the table, we're going to want to be having some synapse units that are going to be in our backboard. And Zonophobes for me are a really interesting unit. First of all, Warp Blast is really cool. They're a Psyker, so they can actually do a better smite than most of the other models. They've got a 4-up invulnerable save and just bring a decent amount of wounds at 12 to the table for a really cheap points cost. Now, the other option, and you can actually build this from the Zonophrome kit, and that is the Neurothrope. This is a single HQ option instead of a 3-model elite model unit. And the big thing we've got here is the Spirit Leech, where in your psychic phase, each time an enemy unit within 18 inch suffers a mortal wound, you select a friendly high-freak Neurothrope or Zonophrome model within 12 inches of this, and they regain a wound. It also adds one to its psychic test taken with the model, and in your command phase you can select one friendly high fleet psychic unit within synaptic link range, and until the start of your next command phase, each time a psychic test is taken with that unit, you can roll an additional d6 and discard one of your choice. So it's a little bit more of a buff piece rather than the other option of the Zonothropes. And so here we have our sample army list. We've gone for a patrol detachment, 750 points, 1 CP left over after we've got our stratagem of a relic and a warlord trait, and we are in Warzone Nelithin for a match play game. Now, obviously gone for adaptive and high fleet Kraken in there. A Broodlord is going to be our HQ option. We've gone with the Power Synaptic Lure. What it's going to do is give reroll charges. Really cool for this unit. It's going to be advanced across the table. And then we've got the Relic Chameleonic Mutation, which is nice to have as well. This is going to make our model -1 to hit, which is just really solid at keeping our Broodlord alive. And you can also not reroll hits against him as well. The warlord trait we've gone for is going to be Alien Cunning. This one is going to be able to make the warlord count as the objective secured unit. It will count as 5 models when controlling an objective, and also it can perform an action even if he advanced or fall back in that turn. So this is really cool. This is going to allow, especially if you advance the point onto an objective in one that has something like sticky objectives, to auto-control it at the top of the game. Now, troops-wise, we've got 2 units of 10 Gargoyles in there. I like the Gargoyles as the 2 separate units rather than our unit of 20 Termagants. The reason why is the Gargoyles just a faster move, and they're going to be able to spread out across the board that little bit better. Now, Termagants will have adrenal glands, mostly for that extra movement, keeping up with the rest of the force. For our elite choices, we've got a unit of 10 Gene Stealers. They're going to be advanced deploying with our Broodlord. And then to keep Synapse in the back of the table, we've got the Zonothropes. And then we've gone for the Power Onslaught, which is actually going to give advance and charge out, which is really cool. This can be quite useful for getting our Termagants and Gargoyles across the table when we need them to. Now, like I said, 38 power level, 750 points on the nose, and 1 CP left over. If you've got any thoughts about how to do a high fleet Kraken army, let us know down in the comments below. Well, that's the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And also drop us a comment down below letting us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so on our Discord server, which is linked down in the video's description. If you'd like to help support the channel more, you can do so either by Patreon or YouTube members, or going to our Teespring store, all of which are linked down in the video's description as well. As a special thank you to our patrons and YouTube members, we'd like to give you all a shout out. So, a special Patreon shout out to Christian Weir, Soren, Kenny Lyle, Aaron Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Q Dynamic, Anthony B, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cader, Derek, Bloobs, Benjamin Suarez, and Red Martin. And as thank you to our YouTube members as well, Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Ronya, Lock Lorick, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Revenar, Pink, Nico Fire, Robin Mankiller, Monty's Tabletop Terrain, John Castle, and Davis Wire. Special thanks also to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork you see on the channel, like you can see pictured here on this slide. Thank you once again for watching, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.